Hey y'all, we're back to Look
This
at the
is much more
Flowers,
like
Lizzie,
it.
Look at the Flowers. Not Lizzie in the Community, by the way. That's a Walking Dead reference for any Walking Dead fans out there. Boy, that show has jumped the shark. Well, it's actually off air now, and there's like a million billion sequels. Or anyway,
Oh no, yeah, listen. I'm 100% not fazed by what anything that lady said. If anything, I just feel sad that I felt that there were people in his community that we could reach, and that maybe they were just a bit, bit far down the pipe. But I know someone who's got a friend. I mean, I know someone. I used to be in the Art Society, and in the Art Society, you talk to people sort of on a weekly basis. But little chit chat and this and that, and then after a few weeks, you bit more chit chat, and chit chat seems to fall away, and you start just saying, "So, how's your sister?" And stuff like that. Well, this one, her sister had been in the Scientology. She was in the Scientology, and like she was sad about it because her sister was in the Scientology. So we talked about that sometimes. And if anything, I was just like, I know I can't help her in her life to find a way to reach her sister in the Scientology, but I was like, oh God, I wish I could think of a way to get her sister out of that Scientology because she feels sad about it. So it's a bit like that with Alan's tribe. Is I feel like, well, some of them are so committed that I think they're just bad people, but some of them I think are sort of misguided. The other one is Nosy Nana. Like, as much as people like giving her loads of shit and saying how stupid she was and everything, I feel like if you're not that, like, not everyone is like has to be like Stephen Hawking round here, do they? Like, my friend Isaac the barber used to say, look, Stephen Hawking's really smart, isn't he? But David Beckham's not. Like David Beckham used to come up in conversation. I made a joke about David Beckham. Okay. So the joke goes, David Beckham has just joined Inter Milan, or whatever they were called, Real Madrid. David Beckham has just joined Real Madrid on the football. This is how long ago this was. David Beckham has just joined Real Madrid on the football, and he goes into training, and he's got all new people, and he's getting his lunch out with all the new people in the training room, and he's got a thermos flask, and Roberto Luis Fernandez, or whatever, one of the other footballers, comes over to him and says, what's that? A thermos flask. We don't have them here in Spain. We don't use that. What's that? And David Beckham says, oh, Posh Spice gave me this. Posh Spice, see, I've worked her into the joke. Posh Spice gave me this to keep me, happy at training, pack my lunch. What it is, it's a thermos flask, and it keeps hot things hot and cold things cold. And what do you mean hot things hot and cold? Because in Spain, in training, it's always hot. We just want cold drinks. He says, oh no, yeah, we can put hot things in there or cold things. So if you have a cup of tea, hot things hot and cold things cold. It's a thermos flask. It's got like thermal technology, says David. And the guy, he says, look, come over here, Luis Alberto Fernandez Jr., who plays for Real Madrid, or someone that plays for Real Madrid, come over here and look, David Beckham's got this flask. What's this flask? And they say, oh, it keeps hot things hot and cold things cold. And he says, what? And he said, David Beckham says, yeah, it's my thermos flask. It keeps hot things hot and cold things cold. And he says, well, what's in there? And David says, well, I've got I've got Heinz soup and a choc ice. I've got Heinz soup and a choc ice because it's got the hot things and the cold things in the same flask, because he's not smart, is he? So I told that story, that joke, and my friend Isaac, the hairdresser, he said, oh, you shouldn't be mean to David Beckham for not being smart. You don't give... He said, you shouldn't be mean to David Beckham for not being very smart, because you don't give Stephen Hawking shit for not being good at football, do you? I was like, yeah. Nobody gives Stephen Hawking any shit for not being good at football, no. So it's like, we're all different people. Some people are intellectually more capable than others, but it doesn't make them better. Like, it doesn't make them worse. It just, we're different people, and everyone's got different skills and talents. And whilst I might have been able to best somebody at chess, they might have been able to, do anything else that I'm not capable of, so it doesn't matter. So I'm not saying that because Nosy Nana seemed a bit dim that we should be mean to her, but it's the fact that those are the people that are more susceptible to Alan's con job. They're like the people that have been conned. They're people that got romance scammed or fell for the Nigerian prince fraud. And aren't you stupid? But also, it's sad for you, and we should help you. So there's that. Yeah. Let's get back to the lovely garden. Scott, Val, AD, pedos. I love the way she spelt pedos. This is, of course, I don't know why she calls her channel Variations of a Life. Everyone knows her as Cartoon Lady now.
Where was I? I'm already...
And I wish she would stop with this going nonsense about all of them, right? I wish they'd stop with this nonsense about going on with their lives and enjoying themselves, because I would much rather hear their opinions on what's going on. Like, her commentary on the whole topic is good. I wish it wouldn't stop, but apparently it does slow down, and she has got a real life to get on with. So.
Rambling, and I just started. My God. So listen, I retired my high horse, right? Had to put that thing out to pasture, because I realized, right, finally, it took me a long time, that nobody likes a Karen who gets on her platform and moralizes to people and says, you know, well, if I was you, I would do this and I would do that, and look at me, I'm so morally superior, oh my God. You know, nobody wants to hear it. And so, yeah.
No, I liked...
It's like, okay.
Do you know what? The people that don't like her and make, you know, oh, fuck you, Cartoon Lady, you know, those people, they didn't like it. They said you were always moralising and telling people what to do. But I liked it because I'm like, you know, a moral compass, an arbiter of moral value, and someone who's prepared to speak out on those topics, I actually like, to be honest. It's like we all watch Big Brother on the telly and people are like, have different opinions on it. And that's society. Like, we are like a community on YouTube, and it's a bit like Big Brother on the telly, and people have got opinions, and that's society. And like, I mean, you look at the Palestinian, I don't want to bring it up again, but you look at the Palestinian war, and like, there's a lot of moral grey areas and problems, and, you know, and double standards, and like, morality comes into the conversations a lot. And I guess that's one of the things that I actually, like I said, enjoy. And so I like, as much as I don't like all the arguments and the petty goings on, I do like her opinions and stance on things, even if as well I come under the flag of getting, you know, even if sometimes I get tired with the brush of like doing a bit of Nortis, I prefer to have to be tired with the brush and accept my, you know, tarnish as having done something a bit Nortis, because I do agree with her and her moral perspective. So like, holding people to a higher account is good.
More. And plus, you know, I'm sick of the
But it's difficult because you sound like you're, like she said, on a high horse or condescending and stuff. But then in this world, it's not that she's just on a high horse preaching about any old thing. You know, she's decided to be vocal about a topic that is concerning her and a group of friends that, you know, evolved into this thing. I think she's valid as a voice here. Conflict.
I realized, you know, kind of step back. You know, yeah, I do have a good life.
Good night.
What the hell am I doing on YouTube? You know, why am I making a video every freaking day? This is stupid. So, you know, I just stepped away from it.
True that.
And I'm throwing my hat back in the ring for just a moment. This is a one and done video because I want to talk about Scott.
I think it's fine. Like I said, I know I'm pausing it and everyone's going to be really cross, but listen, I think it's fine for her to not put a timeline or a definitive, like, I'm in, I'm out, hat in the ring, not talking about it anymore. Like she said, she has got a proper life to live and she does enjoy living it. And for a while, this soap opera, because it's like a soap opera that you're part of as well, because your voice is heard and is part of the community. I think when people talk about obsession, like people within the communities, I can see the obsessive part when people are on the forums all the time, talking about it all the time. You know, there's that aspect. And I would encourage all of you, even though I encourage you to be on the Discord and talk about it all the time, to take your own time and to step away when you feel like it and not be obsessed by it. But I can see where she would perceive, certainly with the Annan story and the, you know, ever evolving, ever expanding amount of content and stuff going on, it can be kind of a lot to do every day to keep focused on it, and then you lose track of other things maybe. So I agree, and I'm glad that she's just enjoying her life. But I would say every time you want to talk about it, just pick up the, you know, I assume she records it on a phone maybe, like, or, you know, whatever, just pick it up and just do it. Like, you don't have to be beholden to a timeline, be in or out. And if you fancy saying something, please do. We'll all be here waiting on bated breath because I love hearing it, and I will let it play now a bit. And
the pedophile stuff. But before I get into it, I want to say this, okay? And I'm going to try very hard not to moralize, okay? I don't understand why we're constantly rehashing the same narratives, okay? And bashing the same people. I think there comes a time when we should just take action, right? Because people talk about doing stuff. They talk about criminal recourse and legal recourse. So why not work on those things instead of constantly rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. How many times can you wash your hair in a day?
I wonder if she's talking about me, because it is Scott, Val, Eddie and the pedos, or if she's directing this at the people who are angry about what we said, who keep going on about it, like Genetic Code did the other day. It's interesting because for me, in the Alan stuff, like, that theme keeps coming up. We revisited that whole topic yesterday with Genetic Code, didn't we? Because she talked about it. So I said, no, this is how it was. But on my content, it's not that every day I'm talking about that and re-going over it over and over again. I agree with her. Like, in a way, it sounds weird to say it, like, leave that in the past and move on. But my war with Alan, so to speak, has been won. We're now in the epilogue, just like a strange epilogue, because he's dragged it out a lot further than I thought he would at this point. But yeah, I don't have to keep making videos about Alan Vinicum is a pedo every day, do I? I've made that video. It exists. We've made that point. It stood. And yeah.
Just do what you got to do. And maybe you'll start feeling better. Maybe it'll bring you some resolution. And, there are things that I don't think are going to happen. Okay, but I'm not going to tell you what I think those things are, because I don't want to start fighting with people again. And one of the reasons that I stepped away is because there really is this us against them mentality, right? And if you don't agree with me, you're a horrible, mean, evil person. I don't like you. I'm going to tell my mom.
She must be talking about the other people there, because even though Val didn't agree with me putting my will in his mouth, I've been staunchly behind Val the whole time. I publicly support Tosha here, who doesn't agree with everything I've done. There are some in the community that I don't stand by and agree with, who don't agree with things I've done. But yeah, I don't think she can be talking about me here. So yeah.
I'm taking my ball. Well, I took my ball and I went home. I guess I did, didn't I? But I don't see the world that way. And I was starting to see the world that way. I believe there's nuances to things. I believe that we are all flawed. I believe for the most part, people here on both sides of the aisle are decent, good people. But guess what? Decent, good people can be flawed. They can make mistakes. They can F up. And, especially when there's feelings involved. And here's the thing, we're all human, right? And by the way, just FYI, people can be hurt regardless of your age, especially if you're sensitive, if you're in tune with the world and with others. You can hurt for yourself. You can hurt for people.
Agree. But I hope we're not extending this to Alan, who is not human. I've dehumanized him. No, honestly, Alan, as a narcissist, does have human emotions and qualities. He can feel empathy. He just chooses not to, and to use it as a weapon instead.
That you care about. You can hurt for people that maybe you don't even like, because you care about humanity, okay? So for me, it was better to step away, because there was never any resolution. There was just conflict. And it's just, can y'all not see how toxic that is? So anyway, let's talk about Scotty Toddy. I know for some he's known as Scotty Hottie, to each his own.
There's a girl out there who called me Scotty Hottie, Scotty the Hottie, she called me. And like, I think it was a bit of ridicule, but I did get to sex her up a few times. So it wasn't entirely ridicule, was it? Oh, Scotty the Hottie, she said to me, Scotty the Hottie. And I said, yeah, Scotty Hottie. And then we did get it on a couple of times. I mean, she was like my girlfriend for a bit, and then things worked out really badly. Oh, bless. I've told stories, this is not the time for stories. Anyway, the point is, there's a girl out there who coined the phrase Scotty the Hottie, Scotty Hottie. She's the one that's responsible for it. And if she knew that it was being brought up by people on YouTube regarding Alan or whatever the fuck, if she knew that people were just saying this, please, not Pretty Woman, no. It was, the lady was, she was from another country, and she came to our town, and I had a romantic, she was my romantic partner for a bit, and then she went away, and I was sad. And then she come back, and I was like, well, no, sorry, you went away before, and you said that the relationship was over, so now it's still over, and it's over forever, so fuck you. And that was a bit, I suppose, short-sighted of me, but who knows, that's how we left it. But yeah. But yeah, it'd be just funny that I love it. I fucking love it. I call my, I say it, so now it's cottoned on. So now we've got Tippies, Scotty Hottie, like we're inventing words. Alan does his own words, like monetarization, so we can have Scotty Hottie in the dictionary. I fucking love it. Yes.
So anyway, let's talk about Scotty Toddy. I know for some he's known as Scotty Hottie, to each his own. Listen, I don't have any personal beef with Scott.
No.
I've never disliked the man.
Thanks.
I don't think he's a bad person.
No.
I don't think he's evil, okay? Sometimes his sense of humor is not to my particular taste.
Willie in the mouth.
Sometimes, I have found him really funny. So I don't watch him on a regular basis. I don't participate in his chats, mainly because he's doing a lot of AD stuff, and I'm just not into AD anymore, okay? The man is not on this platform. I personally see no need to talk about him.
Like, listen as well, right? I get this vibe from I see it in, I've seen it in comments and stuff. I think maybe there's Nigel put it properly the other day. He said we have to wean me off Angry Alan, but there's it's not like a break on YouTube and stuff. Like when you're making content, you don't just suddenly stop doing one thing and start doing the other, because then it fucks up your algorithm. People are confused. Everyone that's here to turn up next day to see what's happening with this, it's not there anymore. We're doing something else. I've changed my feelings on it, and we're moving on. But you can progressively move on and take a transitional phase, and it's like steering a big ship. Like you make. A friend of mine, when I was doing the Nicola Bully content, I told them, look, this Nicola Bully stuff's not going to last forever. There's going to be an inquest, and after the inquest, I don't want to keep making these ongoing forever videos about Nicola Bully. And they were saying about, well, just keep doing true crime. And I was saying, I don't really like, staying in the true crime world because it makes me feel unhappy. So what do you think? And they were saying, if you want to make a change, you can do like one video that's different, and then 3 or 4 videos normal, and then one video that's a bit different, and gradually make that change and see how it charts and see what the audience think, and find something and move as a slower progression. And I was like, that's a really good idea. So we kind of are going to do that with the battery exhausted Alan content for sure. But I do perceive this audience, not a lot of you that are here, that are here for this, are not going to be like, oh, stop talking about Alan. No, keep doing it. I like it. But there does have to be a sort of longer term momentum shift. And I understand. I agree. So, yeah, I agree.
However,
big ups, Nigel.
I just found out
She called me Scotty Totty.
Mr. Scott.
Does he know I have to be Scotty Totty now instead of Scotty Hottie? Because I like Scotty Hottie, but Scotty Totty can stand as well.
I just found out that Mr. Scott is still kind of going down the pedo road. Now, here's the thing.
Kind of going down it.
I know,
it's just a fact now, isn't it? It's just a thing that happened. Like when people read off the list of things he did, I'm just like, bang, he did that. It's funny, like calling someone a paedophile is like saying that they have a predilection for children and for children only, and that Alan is like, expressed the interest in this one sexuality aspect. But I don't think it's that person. I just think he's, I just think it's that whole thing is not off the list for him, but other things are on the list as well. So, yeah.
no longer get on my platform.
But he did sing with the kids on Smule, so, it's just there.
And moralize to people. I can't tell him what to do. I have in the past said to Scott, and he will attest to this, that I personally don't think he should be putting this out there. I do think it's potentially...
I don't think I'd put it out there. I think it's out there. Like the Smule videos, the orchestration of an agency for men, women, boys and girls, the mother licks cunt off daughter's face is not just about mothers, it's also about daughters. I'm trying to think my way through all these different things that he's done, but it's like a combination of things that when you suddenly see him on Smule with a load of kids, you think, wow, oh, hang on. And like I say, I think that the man does not exclusively get his jollies that way, but I think he has done. I've seen a video of it. Other than getting his willy out and wanking on it, like, what more do you want? Yeah.
Dangerous, and I personally don't think he has substantial proof. Now, I watched...
No, agreed. I think that I had suspicions that Alan would have had like a hard drive, and on it there would have been a file of some dirty photos that he may have got, in some different ways. I have my suspicions about whether he produces this material or like is just in the process of selling it. But through my investigation of watching a load of pedo hunters on the internet, I know that there's this sort of black market trade that goes on, and they use these terms like cheese pizza and stuff, and that goes back to some of the Martin Dean stuff that was talked about, and that Alan, as a predatory person, would see that as easy money, because all you have to do is send people some pictures on the internet and they send you some money through a third-party app that goes round, and and even to the point where, like, through his manipulative, narcissistic, abusive personality disorder, he might actually get people to produce or be in the process of producing that himself, and that's big money then for him behind the black market scenes. So I think there's an aspect of this which for Alan is like less sexual and more financial, which makes it horrible, but it's like matches the personality pattern. So do I have proof of that? Like, no, I have all these suspicions and what you call circumstantial evidence for that. But why do I think that? Because I had all these pieces of circumstantial evidence present themselves to me, and also presented to me, but not least of which by people like Val and other people in the community, and when you put that picture together, it creates that image that then I was confronted with on Smule. So it was like that.
His live last night, and I think he believes he has substantial proof. But in my opinion, I think he's kind of got tunnel vision at the moment. I don't think he's doing it for malicious purposes. I don't think that, he's mad because AD's, he's still upset because AD stole his content.
No, you're right. It's if you fight in a fight like that, then you lose. Like, if you get angry with someone and then get eggy and wildly go around being eggy, then the person who maintains their composure and control and can assess the situation and make the right moves will win. So with Alan, at first I was pretty disappointed by his behaviour, and I was like, this doesn't, I don't like this. And then there was all this other stuff that came up through the investigation on the man, and I didn't like any of that. But at no point do I try not to allow my emotions to cloud my behaviour, because it would. So I would say, yeah, I've been quite controlled, and like, it sounds weird, but I knew that we were going to go for a sort of slightly longer haul. I was lucky that he did that stuff with the Smule, because at that point I was like looking for some way to, I knew that the main thing between me and Alan on YouTube was I know that he steals content. I know he plagiarises content, and plagiarism to a lot of people is pretty bad. It was bad enough to Eddie that he decided to close his channel, but to a lot of the audience, they didn't seem to care. And I needed to find a way to talk to his audience of the demographic that he perceives the most important to him, ladies over a certain age, and explain to them that Alan is a bad man. And when that opportunity was presented to me by Alan singing with kids, I made sure it was very clear that it was well presented to them that Alan is a bad man. And I know that, like, I watch YouTube, I understand what's going on. Rebranding Alan as a lol cow, we're in the court of public opinion. Alan is all marketing speak and all show. So, rebranding him a lol cow, and eventually, his removal from YouTube, that's where we're at, isn't it? So it's a long haul process, and it involves removing your emotion and trying to do the best job you can to sort of, it's art of war stuff again. It's art of war stuff.
And it's like, I'm going to get this guy, I'm going to call him a pedo. I don't. I think he believes he's on a righteous quest, okay? But
not so much. Listen,
having said that,
I am on a righteous quest because Alan is the bad man. Like, if I investigate, when he stole my content, if I investigated him and everyone said he was really good and he raised all this money for charity, and he started this web page that was all about mental health and he's supporting these people, I'd have said, all right, fair enough. Look, he's made a bit of a mistake and he's a bit of an arsehole in my opinion, but it seems like everyone likes him. I suppose we'll have to leave this, but please don't steal any more of my content, you arsehole. I could have been pretty disappointed, but what could I do? But it turns out that when I investigated Alan, there's already a group of people that didn't like him because he'd been doing loads of other bad stuff, and it completely confirmed my perception of him as a character, and so I was able to sort of move on forward into that. I didn't, in terms of righteousness, like, I am on the side of good and righteousness in that aspect, that Alan is a bad person who's doing wrong things, but I will be completely honest about it in public. I wanted Alan to suffer because he stole my content and bullied me on the internet. Like, he wasn't a nice person. He deserved to have punishment for that. And in YouTube, the punishment is either you get a copyright strike, or I could take you to court and prove plagiarism, or we're on the court of public opinion on YouTube, and you could lose your public face and become a lolcow and be rebranded, and then, lo and behold, eventually removed. So I do think it's more of a personal vendetta than a truth, justice, righteous campaign. And so what? Like, I've had my, thankfully it's both at the same time. You know, I was lucky that the man that I chose to take down was someone who was a bad man. But initially it started, like, if Alan had turned out to be flavour of the month in everyone else's eyes, like with Jizzy True Crime, I'll say it like it is. You know, she doctored that video. But ultimately I wouldn't have gone so hard on it, because, like, where's my point? What's my point? But with Alan, I had a lot of points and he gave me loads of content. Yeah. It's a weird one, because I do feel that I would like to take the platitude for being a moral crusader. And I do think there's a lot of morals involved in the crusade. But I think ultimately it comes down to Alan picked a fight with me. And so I said, all right, we'll have the fight.
I would caution Scott to be careful, okay? And I realize AD has done some really shady and crappy things to Scott as well, okay? And I'm not talking about his content. This man doxed his family,
yeah,
okay? And that was wrong. Where was the outrage when AD was doing that, by the way?
Absolutely.
Y'all remember that?
Yeah, and on top of that, there were other things that I feel are not worth making into content that, you know, the audience isn't really party to. But I'll just say there were other things that Alan's been trying to do behind the scenes. I mean, we all know he's been calling the police and doing the police stuff as well, hasn't he? So, you know, we all know that I've had to deal with fucking calling the police myself and all that sort of business. So, yeah.
How about when AD doxed Val?
And we're not doing, and listen, we're not doing that to him. Like, we have the information, and the same with, like, other nutters. I won't name any of them, but just other nutters. Like, they think they're all, like, special, clever, immune to anything. Like, I have the information to be able to sort of publicly dox, and, you know, if I was a nasty chuffer on the internet, for all good it would do, I could cause problems for them, but I just don't.
For being a sex tourist, okay? Or AD threatened one of my husband to get in touch with him and was saying, you know, very misogynistic things.
I'm bullet focused on Alan, aren't I? Because Alan's doing all this horrible stuff.
You know, where was the outrage then?
And also along the way, when he did turn out to be bullying these other ladies, who I consider, like, I see it, it's more clear if it's the street fight and someone pushes a woman over and you're like, right, I've got to run over there and quickly, you know, someone's just pushed a lady over. You know, I know I'm not a misogynist, but I've got to run over there and defend some lady from this man that just pushed her over. You know, I'm blatantly going to get punched in the face now. Fellas, please help. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's that sort of situation. On the mean streets of YouTube, the equivalent is Alan using his big platform with his 80,000 subscribers to bully cartoon lady and sex mad Val. I just thought that was completely distasteful, and that did hit me in the make me angry, make me more vindictive, vendetta driven. Like, yeah. I feel like, I know I joke a bit about us being like the X-Men and stuff like that, but, you know, Batman isn't in it because, like, Batman just wants to save the world. Like, you have these anti-heroes, these troubled heroes. Like, I'm quite happy to accept that there is an element of personal vendetta and anger at the man who would bully women on the internet and get away with it.
Just curious. Anyway, so, look. Here's my opinion on AD when it comes to this whole pedo thing. I personally have never thought the man was a pedo. He's an idiot. He's socially inept. And
he's like Boris Johnson, though. He plays the socially inept, bumbling idiot because he is that. So he has to accept it and, like, live it sometimes. But also he uses it as a shield, like the clown. But underneath the clown, like one of those murderers, is a sad, sadistic man. So I agree with what she's saying on principle, on surface, but I think she's not accurate here. I think he has done some seedy, horrible things that you might say on a day-to-day basis he's not down the park trying to grab a child, but if he was walking past the park and there was a child that was sat right next to the van, he might bundle them in and just fucking go. Like, he's a predatory, sadistic, mean, vile person that has the clown makeup on and sometimes fucks up. So he has to, like when he fucks up and shows you that screenshot of the black bed, and oh, whoops. Anyway, and like, you know, lies about it and covers it up underneath the makeup, you know, underneath the bumbling clown. That's what I'm concerned with. But I do understand her opinion that he is simply the idiot.
That's my opinion on AJ when it comes to this whole pedo thing. I personally have never thought the man was a pedo. He's an idiot. He's socially inept, and he does say very, very cringy things because he's an idiot.
But he said he searched for the internet for child porn. So do you think he's stupid enough to just Google child porn and think that I'm doing an investigation, this will be good for my YouTube channel? Or do you think that he searched the internet for child porn thinking I might see some child porn and have my jollies? Like, at what point, like, you know, you've got two worlds there. When the man, because the man admitted to searching the internet for child porn, he admitted it. Unadulterated admitted it. He said it was because he was doing a documentary on that serial killer. We've covered it as an episode, so I would remind, I think Tosha, like, in fairness, I know she probably doesn't want to do this.
To the best of my knowledge.
But if anyone did want to care and do this, it's an over 18s live stream only. It's Angry Alan Vinicum versus the porn industry. So what happened was Alan got caught doing Mother Licks Cunt Off Daughter's Face Google search. He was on a live stream. It came up. They screenshotted it. It was one of his Google searches. He said, the reason I was doing the Google search was because I was researching for a documentary I was going to make about pornography. And that excuse is what famous nonces have used before they got sent down. It's covered in this video. So Alan used the same defence as famous nonces that got sent down. That's not a defence because they got sent down. The defence was he was doing research for a documentary. So lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, and these channels gone now, but thank God we did this. Lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, a video appeared on Alan's YouTube channel called Alan Vinicum Investigates Porn, What's It Doing to the World, etc. And this is the big documentary that he was researching for, Mother Licks Cunt Off Daughter's Face. This is the reason he's not a nonce, but is in fact a good, you know, good researcher, good journalist, was doing a piece about porn. We've covered it. I've reacted to the whole thing. The piece about porn was him talking shit for 20 minutes. And then there was about 40 minutes of an interview with a serial killer who said he looked at porn. I think it was Gacy or someone. So later on, Alan said, I looked at the internet and searched for child porn because I was doing a documentary and I wanted to know what Gacy, he mentioned Gacy as part of this talk about the searching for child porn. And we all said, well, Gacy wasn't around when the internet was around, so it doesn't correlate. But the critical point is, after he was caught searching for Mother Licks Cunt on Daughter's Face, he said, I searched the internet for child porn. Now, does he mean Mother Licks Cunt Off Daughter's Face is child porn and that was part of an internet search for child porn? Or does he mean between the moment I got caught searching for Mother Licks Cunt Off Daughter's Face to the moment I released that documentary on my YouTube channel that covers me for doing the search, in that space of time, I typed in child porn and searched for further child porn. And that is now covered by this space of time because I made a documentary about it on YouTube, and that proves that it was all above board, my searches. That's his cover, is that he says he was doing a documentary about it. He was never doing a documentary about it until the moment he got caught searching the porn. Bear in mind. And he didn't do a documentary about it. He did a half-assed job for 20 minutes of talking about something off Google. And in that time, he has now admitted he was searching for child porn on the internet. His own words, Alan Vinicum busted, admits it must see.
Bundy was right.
Oh, so, Bundy, that's it, Bundy.
To AD. I've never been arrested. They've checked my computer.
And apparently in the past, maybe the police went round and checked his computer. The fact his computer was clear of child porn searches doesn't mean that Alan is not guilty of child porn offences. And I say offences because, like I say, he might not be the one making the videos, or he might be the black bed, the black room, the black clothes, the black balaclava, and, you know, knowing some poor family who need a bit of extra cash and are willing to, or maybe it's on the internet on the Philippines. I don't know. You know, there's all that goes on, but maybe he's just trading in the pictures for money or whatever. Do you think they'd be on the computer that he handed over to the police? Do you think he'd be that stupid? Do you think he hasn't got like a second laptop hidden away somewhere? When they say they've checked his computer, did they do a full, you know, search of his house and like remove all electronic items? What about hard drives? Because he also, in and Tosh will remember this because she knows, because she watched all the Alan stuff. He talked about destroying hard drives with fire and learning how to destroy hard drives back in the day a bit. Has he been there, done that, now destroyed the evidence, and so has gotten away with it? But those pictures are on a file somewhere on the computer, that, you know, on the internet somewhere, that you can share and get access to if you give Alan the money and he gives you the secret key. Or, you know, it's a simple operation, isn't it? Send me 50 quid on my thing and I'll give you access to some pictures on the internet. Like, he doesn't have to be a pedo in terms of down the park grabbing kids, but he could be doing this horrible child abuse just for his own financial gain and making videos with kids on Smule, for example. Maybe some people might pay for those videos afterwards if you get the kids to do certain things. I don't know. I don't know what happens after the Smule. Like, it's just the tip of an iceberg, like I've said before. But this is particularly bad.
I've done nothing wrong. There is no child porn on the internet. I hate to warn you that. There is no child porn on the internet. I checked. So he's admitting to searching for child porn on the internet, and he's trying to cover it by saying,
I'm on the internet.
I wanted to know if Bundy was right.
I wanted to know if Bundy was right and that porn is all over everywhere and it infects people's minds.
So,
but Bundy's got nothing to do with it. You were checking for child porn on the internet, pretending you were making a documentary about Bundy, but there was no documentary about Bundy. In fact, all you did was play, and like Alan does, a great big chunk of that. Like, it was an hour-long video. There was 20 minutes of him talking about porn, and there was 40 minutes of Bundy. And then it was the end. And it was just to cover like I've said, I made it very clear. Everyone can see that's just a cover story for the fact he really was doing dodgy searches. So this man is not acceptable. But difference of opinion there, I guess.
And he's socially inept. That's it. If he was singing with a child on the karaoke app, if he did know, and I'm not convinced that he did.
The kid waved at him and he could see the kid. It was live. It was in a collaboration room. But I guess you're not convinced. This is one of the problems I face here. Like, it's not my cause, and, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, how do I explain it? It does matter, but people have said, "I'll go to the police then." I mean, the police have seen it, and like, how far can they take that? Like, what I see in it and what you see in it might be different, but I can't make people believe stuff. Like, I might not be, maybe I'm off my head here, and, you know, maybe it just is totally innocent, but I don't feel it. So we've all got different feelings on that, I guess. But you do have to accept that it was live and they could see him and he could see them. I think you do have to accept that at this stage, that is the case.
He's stupid enough to not.
Oh yeah, the reason for them to be checking the computers is because back in the day he was doing seedy, dodgy stuff, and Martin Dean caught him out on it, and the police wanted to know about it, and they were that close, I think, to actually catching him.
See anything wrong with it? Do I think he was masturbating while he was singing with a child?
And why would they be there in the house? Yeah, the police, like, people have obviously reported me to the police from Alan's side, and the police have decided to fucking do nothing about it because they're not going to kick my door in because it's a load of bollocks. But for Alan, they were concerned enough to go in the house, and it makes you wonder what other reports, what other things the police know about the man, about his time over the years, that we don't.
Do not. Okay? I really don't. And it's just, it's such a nasty...
Was he masturbating during that performance? I don't know. Did he masturbate over it just after? I don't know. You know, did he masturbate about it before? Did it lead on to a separate chat room after? I don't know. That actual act, again, I don't think it means... I think we're too narrowly down the definition of the man's a paedophile, therefore he must want to have sex right now with a child every time, all the time, and has never wanted to have sex with a woman. That's a paedophile. I think the acts of abuse of children is just like more... maybe it's just a language thing. Maybe I'm saying pedos, you know, like people just throw the word around. Because it involves that. You know, it involves that, doesn't it? But, like, you know, is it his own personal constant predilection? I don't, you know, maybe not. Like, I'm not the thought police on that, but I think he's done some things which would constitute child sex crimes. So I think then that's enough to call him a nonce, or therefore a pedo, you know.
Allegation. And I realize, now, Scott is not the first person to put that out there. You know, people in this community have thought it and said it for years.
Well, that's an interesting thing, because I didn't know that when I found this mule. I knew that Val had said about the agency, and the agency looked seedy, and I assumed that he was just trying to, in some way, be a middleman between trafficked people, like, you know, escorts, hookers, young girls, You know, if you want to get access to a hooker, I'll hook you up and I'll take 10% and then I'll get access to the girls myself. I think he thought that would be quite a nice place for him to be in, Mr. Big, as part of the escort industry. And I'll have all the escorts on one hand and I'll have all the clients on the other, and I can blackmail them like that Jeffrey Epstein did. You know, I think he was trying to go that way or something, and it just never worked out. He couldn't get it going. But as part of it, he did advertise the services of kids, and I just think he wasn't above to just advertise. I think if you wanted to have sex with a goat, he would have tried to get you a goat. And it doesn't mean he's a goatophile, but you would also be able to prosecute him for goatophilia. So I would then say, well, goatophile. It's like that.
Okay, and I didn't like it back in the day, and I don't like it now. Okay, if somebody truly thinks this guy is the P word, you need to be going to the police.
Have done, like I said, rang them up, explained it all, sent them the details of the video.
Okay, and they need to be looking into it.
But what can they do from there, and how much are they going to do? I don't know. And looking into it, like, if we wouldn't have found that, if we just left it to the police, that would have gone unnoticed. Like, we need to look into things, draw them to account so that we can then show them to the police, I think.
And, this is how stupid he is. He says, and this just shows his stupidity. Not that he is a pedophile, but he's just an idiot. I looked up, I researched child porn and there wasn't any. This is how dumb he is.
Well, that's what I mean. It's not dumb, is it? It's, if you laugh at the clown, but he's actually being sinister and touching the children, then you're missing the thing there. Like, he admitted to it publicly because he knew that if it ever came out publicly, he wanted to get ahead of it and say, well, you already know I've searched for child porn. I was doing a documentary. He thought he was on the edge of being discovered for something that was so bad that all his audience would immediately leave him. So he just jumped ahead of it. And okay, it was fucking awful what he said and stupid and self-incriminatory, but he thought, and this is where he is stupid and an idiot, he thought he was going to be, covering that base for future reference so that they could never accuse him of it. He thought he was just getting ahead of it. He was so scared that he was about to be found out.
Okay, he's an idiot. I do think it's a little bit disingenuous to be calling him out and not calling out other people.
Hang on, wait. So are we saying that this I'm just I love Tosha and I love her opinion, so I will listen and understand. Like, we're saying, and people are agreeing with me more in chat because it's our crowd, isn't it? But like, are we saying that this is just an idiot just saying something stupid, and that he didn't really search for child porn on the internet, or that he did search for it but he was doing something stupid when he did? Like, what would it have happened if Google had just led him straight to the child porn trove? What would have happened then? And did he search Google or the dark web? Because any right-minded person would know it's not on Google, it's on the dark web, wouldn't they? Like Alan does. So I'm confused about what we think of what he said here. But I'll play it one more time so everyone else can get their own opinion, and then we'll just move on.
Get on to AD. I've never been arrested. They've checked my computer. I've done nothing wrong. There is no child porn on the internet. I hate to warn you that. There is no child porn on the internet. I checked.
I'm on the internet.
So I wanted to know if Bundy was right.
Oosh. So yeah. I'm surprised by that, because I thought that was pretty damning evidence that the man is in fact a nonce, because no one in their right mind would admit to searching the internet for child porn, let alone search for damn child porn. Like, I have never typed into Google child porn. Not only do I not want to see if it would come up, but I wouldn't want that on my search history. And at what point have I got in my life to think about like sitting down at the computer and like what we're doing today? Oh, do you know what I could do? I could investigate child porn by searching up a load of child porn. I think most people, 99.9%, would never have done that.
Who have said it? It was wrong when Martin did it, when Bam did it. But people have their reasons for doing stuff. Okay? And you can call people out, but ultimately people are going to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
I can say, hey, can we stop bashing each other? Guess what? And I did for a long time, and people kept bashing each other because people are going to do whatever the hell they want because they're adults. And you can't force people to change. And it's exhausting trying.
You don't need to get me to change, do you? Because one of the things she just said there that I sort of glossed over is, what about the other people? And I know that she's probably more interested here in talking about, you know, the bins of the world and stuff like that who are going to keep going. But like, my content will continue. Sometimes Alan will be the focus. People just don't, like, if she doesn't like it, she doesn't have to watch it, that aspect of it. And then but you do have to watch Superjob. But also there's some other people in the true crime world who are like just as bad as Alan on the Chris Watts case and whatever. And that is on the Chris Watts people and the people who were eggy about that in the past. They should be going after those other people if they are eggy about that. But I was never eggy about Chris Watts. I was eggy about Alan stealing my content and plagiarising it and calling me son. So, you know, I don't think I need to go around the true crime world and sort of content police the whole true crime world. Although that could be quite a fun project that might draw me a load of YouTube views, because there's quite a few nutters out there as well. Like, my Nutter Watch series can extend anywhere, I guess. So yeah, maybe I might do. But it's totally on me if I feel to. None of them have directly personally come into my world and caused beef with me.
And here's the thing, I'm not going to white knight for Armchair Detective.
Oh yeah, Andrew Stars Wolf. They didn't find anything. Yeah. So it's because he sounds guilty. Instead of saying things like an innocent person would say, he sounds guilty. He's like, well, they didn't find anything, therefore I'm guilty. Sorry, innocent. But you're like, but it sounds weird to say it. Like, what? Didn't find anything? What? Because you hid it. Not like there was. Like, what you would say is, if you were innocent, you'd say the police checked and there was nothing there, because there's nothing. You know, you would say there's nothing to find. Not they didn't find anything. Phew. You know, it's just fucking weird. Yeah.
Because here's the difference between Armchair Detective and Nicole Kessinger and crime victims' families that he tormented. Armchair Detective is a public figure who has done a lot of shady things over the course of his YouTube career and his internet career, and probably over the course of his life. So he's on his own. He is free to take civil recourse against Scott, and he is free to call the police if he thinks his life is in danger. And I wish him well. I don't want to see any harm come to him, to Scott, or to anybody,
listen, none of this as well has been about any of us trying to promote harm to come to anyone. At one point I offered him out for a YouTube boxing match for the larks, but nobody's suggesting that anyone should go and stab anyone up or beat anyone up or anything like that. I've refrained from turning up at Vinnie's bar in Weston-super-Mare or Exmouth or any of that. You know, we're doing our YouTube content. That's the whole point. That's what Alan's doing. That's what we're doing. And like, when it gets real life, because Alan doxed my family, that was a step too far. We all agree on that. So the difference, but you doxed Alan when he went to Malta. It's not like that though, is it? Because it's a public website and a public YouTube channel. So again, it's all, everything I've presented on the internet is stuff that I've got off the internet. Like, even the Smule stuff, that was on public internet. Like, the real life stuff, you know, yeah, no one is suggesting that, and no one should. So for Alan but the thing is, Alan either feels that threatened and vulnerable because he feels guilty that he actually has done the bad noncing, that he's scared of it, or I mean, there is that, but then on top of as well, Alan is spinning it into this drama nonsense that someone's going to wait at the airport and bash his head off, and like, that's just spinning it into that for his subscribers to make them feel pity for him. So it is all load of nonsense, isn't it?
Actors out there who don't like me, okay? I wish you well. I've got nothing against anybody. What else do I want to say?
It's like, I mean, Alan took it into a dark place with the actual crimes. And we are talking specifically about the pedo stuff. So I get that, you know, and I get there's people that get really cross about that, and fair play. But it's a bit like watching stuff on the news, on the telly, like, you know, you get eggy about it, but you're not expected to go and turn up and fucking, you know, bash someone's head off. And I agree, the courts, you know, the police, it's a shame that, like, if back then the police had caught him and found a hard drive and, like, he'd been caught, that would have been that, wouldn't it? I wouldn't be talking about it now, because he would never have been on the internet in the first place to be me talk, you know. But the police couldn't even solve the crime of, like, Nicola Bulley getting murdered, or, you know, no offence to the police, they're underfunded, and I don't think they really want to fuck about, like, when someone, because the premise of all this is that Alan starts calling them about, I mean, he's probably been on they know about him in the past anyway, and he's been calling them about this stuff in the past. So I'm not new. Like, he's talked about them, about Martin Dean and this and that, and like, you know, he's been on about the police all the time, hasn't he? So now I'm on the list, and I turn up and say, oh, but there's this video of him with the kids, and I've done this little presentation that talks about it. Would you like to watch it? And they're like, yep, send it to us on this email address. Da, da, da. And like, what do you think they think of me? Like, what do you think they care about what I say? So I don't think the police would like hit the red alert button, drop everything. It's time to go back to arrest Vinicum. Like, he's small fry on their radar, and they've got much bigger things and more important things to deal with. So yeah, it's a weird one, because I wish they would go and deal with him and like actually have a good rummage around in his files, but I just don't think they will. And the same with HMRC. Like, he was that close to going to prison for a good number of years for proper fraud tax problems, and in the end he managed to squeak out with cancelled from running a business. You know, we couldn't get any. They wanted all the records. He got in trouble because he wouldn't provide the records, or couldn't provide the records. But if they'd found the records, he could have had criminal case. So he's lucky they couldn't find the records. So now he's cancelled from running a business. But, you know, it's that sort of stuff where I don't know if the HMRC today, if you said to them, here's a video that Lizzie did of all his patron money, like, they're quite busy with what they're doing anyway. And I know that they're going to be, Labour are looking into, I know politics is a load of bollocks, isn't it? But Labour are looking, hopefully we'll get Labour in next, and they're looking into setting up a committee to recover the money from the fraud from the Tories and all the COVID stuff, to recover all the fraud money that went away with that. And hopefully, you know, the fraud department of the HMRC might at one point get around to looking at Alan. But when they do, it becomes criminal. But until then, you know, you're relying on public agencies and due process, and they're very busy with lots of stuff to do. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Okay. Oh, Val. I just want to say this about Val.
The other thing, though, just on that note, before we get on to Val, is that in terms of crime and justice for this, is that Alan won't stop being a bad chuffer, and the stuff he's done won't just go away. So he's scared and worried, because as you've had 5 years of people digging him, and, you know, Martin Dean's found out a load of stuff, and, you know, he's had all that, and then Super Chuffer comes along, and it does get worse. Like, for him, like that video of him on Smule, the presentation of it in that video I made, is a step up in a way, isn't it? Because it's videos of him with the, like, this time it's Anna on video. It's not like we saw a Facebook page and he said this, and honestly, we've got this screenshot. It's him on video, and you can see that he's a dirty creep. So, like, Alan might be thinking, what's next? Are you sure that hard drive? Can we go back to where we threw that hard drive in the sea and fish it out and make sure it's completely destroyed? Do you know what I mean? He might be on that level now of paranoia. Like, he's going to be going over all the things he's done in the past and thinking, can I get busted on that? Did I leave a paper trail? Every time he goes on his stream and tells a story, we look into it, and it becomes even darker and more weird, like the people at the supermarket people, you know. It's weird for Alan. Yeah. And so in that way, I guess I don't discourage further investigation of him, his character, his life, his times. You don't know what might come out. And I would really say it's a real reach, it's a real far-fetch, but if Alan were a murderer, and I joke about it sometimes and make a thing of it, but if he were a murderer, then it would be fucking bad for all the people he murdered, but brilliant for all of us, because Val, me, Cartoon Lady, you're all going to be required to be part of the Netflix special that investigates the armchair detective murder spree, a murdering man, over, like when Jimmy Savile got kicked off. Like, it won't be as big as Jimmy Savile, but we'll get it on Netflix. Right.
She's a good person. I'm not really sure why people are belittling her for being a hairdresser. Hairdressers are great, by the way.
Yeah.
And can be very bright and intelligent. She owns her own salon, and they make more money a lot of times than some Wall Street guys, okay? So I wouldn't be putting her down because she's a hairdresser. And she has dealt with narc abuse, which kind of makes her, you know, she's been through it.
Yeah.
She's researched it, and she has every right to talk about it.
100%.
She's not labeling everybody that, you know, she knows a narcissist.
No, true. And I tell you what, when people have this experience, like, you know, they're very, very valuable, their experience and their insight. So I would call them a bit of an expert. I don't know, it's a loose term, but I'd call them a bit of an expert. And then you don't label everyone a narcissist, but like, I look out for those tendencies, And if you see someone that is a narcissist, you bring them into the sphere and start talking about them more, because that's your ballpark of the stuff you're talking about. So a channel that's focused on narcissistic abuse and narcissists, they're going to seem to think, you're going to, well, everyone's a narcissist to you. No, I'm just interested in narcissists. So to me, everyone I'm talking about, that I'm bringing to you, has these narcissistic qualities. It's not that everyone's a narcissist, it's that my content is about narcissists. So I think that's a bit of a funny one. But yeah, I love Val for this and think she's good and agree.
I've watched some of her stuff. It's pretty informative. You know, I just don't know why people want to give her grief. She's trying to move on with her life. You know, she's posting vacation videos. She's not talking about Armchair Detective. I think she did a community post.
They're jealous. Val's still got opportunities in life to do whatever she wants. Like, I don't know if she's got a romantic partner yet, but she could find one. She's meeting people every day and enjoying her life. She goes out on a holiday. She's got a career. She's like, you know, got a skill in her hands. Like most, and this is just something I've discovered from being a hairdresser, is most people, not being sexist now, but people like their hair and doing it and think of you as someone who can help them out to do a bit of this and that with their hair sometimes. You know, even if I've got male friends who want a little bit of a grey dyed out, or you know, female friends who want help putting that box dye on. It's like being a doctor or a nurse. Someone's always going to want you to help with their hair. So like, it's a position that most of those ladies who are arrogant and aggressive and mean at Val, they also like doing their own hair, and they also wish in a way that they had access to all the styling tools and the chairs and the mirrors and, you know, the kit and the, you know, they go to hairdressers and pay them money. So like, they're a bit jealous of Val for her strength, popularity, and all these other things like I just said. I just think it feels like blatant jealousy.
Just about him.
Big ups, Jess. Yeah, Alan went real life on all of you. Yeah, yes, 100% he did. He told us he had that modus operandi from the MI5 that he went through, about basically trying to slander people's names and then scare them and intimidate them, and, you know, next it'll be your pets and then it'll be you. Like, like he's a naive chuffer fool, because that doesn't work on people that stand up to him. And that's another thing with Val, is that Val will not fold. Like, another reason they get so eggy about it is because they can say all the stuff and be eggy and say all the Val stuff and do the Lego hair, and Val don't care. And like, she put a Lego head fucking start to her video, and like, it doesn't touch. Like, for the bullies that throw the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, that's a Shakespeare that shouldn't be mixed, that's not the same metaphor, but for the bullies that throw these sticks and stones, I should say, is that if they don't hurt you, then it angers them, because not only are they jealous and angry, that's why they're throwing the sticks and stones, but then it just bounces off you and you don't care, and now they're furious because they have no tools to bully you with.
She's not making content about him. She's not talking about the Crowd Justice Fund. You know, that doesn't mean she's not supporting it, but she's not talking about it. You know, people have a right to support who they support, to like who they like, without being bashed. You know, if you like Bam, and I'm just going to say, like her, okay? I'm not going to bash you for it.
In general, yeah, I don't tend to go after the people in their comments and the people in the chats. I go after the content creators in the main who are producing stuff and putting it on the internet. Yeah.
Listen, even with Bam, I've come to this realization, even with her. I feel compassion for the woman.
With Bin Bin, I literally don't watch it. Like, a lot of people have said that people say a lot of this and that. There is a level, like I said many times, and I haven't got time for Bin Bin. I just, like, Genetic Code was just under that bar, and she only got elevated into our content because it was a slow day for Alan and she really went hard. But like, really, that Genetic Code level of, you know, on a panel having a rant and who are you, like, not who are you, like, as in, like, you know, I'm someone special, like I'm Justin Bieber and you're no one, but who are you as in when the two teams come out of Birmingham, they say, let's get behind those Blues, here's Birmingham City and West Bromwich Albion, and we all go, who are you, who are you, who are you, and we know full well who they are, but we want them to feel intimidated, like, who are you, know, but like, you know, who are you as in, like, I don't have to care what Genetic Code says about me, because it doesn't matter, because Genetic Code is saying it. Because
I think she struggles with a lot of stuff, okay? I don't like
So I don't watch Bin Bin.
I don't watch it.
Yeah,
okay.
agreed.
I don't like some of the stuff that she does. That's the thing. If you don't like someone, don't watch them. Okay. And if you think that they are abusing terms of service, report their channel. Okay. See, I'm starting to get back on my high horse again. Stepping off my high horse.
I think there's levels to it, right?
I'm going to go back to minding my business now.
Fair enough. I like it when she's just talking though. There's levels to this. That there's drama content where you are literally just like having a row with someone for the sake of having a row, and it's an endless row and it's drama. And some people flock to it and watch it, and then like it doesn't last forever, maybe, or drama content. There's always going to be a level of drama content. And there's a spectrum between drama content and what will end up being like serious political debate or a YouTube boxing match or something more serious out of the content. We, as Alan detractors, as Darkside Phil detractor me a little bit, or as social commentator on Thus, or anything like, there's got to be some dramatic element to your story for it to get on the news, so to speak. So there's drama content, there's Big Brother, and then there's drama content, there's the real life news and what's happening in Palestine. And like we're somewhere in the middle in a spectrum. Like we're not as devolved as to just be like, Bin Bin said this, Genetic Code said that, I'm having a row at them now, and then let's wait for next week when they do another video about what I said about what they said about what I said about what they said. Like I don't want to go there. But yeah, but at the same time, that's kind of all right as well. This is like an ever-evolving soap opera on YouTube. It's reality TV. There are characters, I perceive. And it's like we're at this funny phase with because it's like the Alan season in my content. I've said a couple of times recently. It feels like we're at this funny phase where we're almost in the, after the end of The Walking Dead, there's that program after it where they all discuss The Walking Dead. It's like we're doing that part of it now. I'm doing Alan Hands now. What do you mean? Alan Hands? Just got hands. But it feels like we're in that part of it now. We're in this sort of like after phase where we're sort of discussing the ramifications. I think people are free to go on and make as many videos as they want. And if Bin Bin is going to keep, she's going to be Bin Bin. Bin Bin gonna Bin Bin. But just Bin Bin it off. That's why I call her Bin Bin. Like, it's just not worth your time. She's really on the right track. She's living a life. She's enjoying herself. I think she's got a lot of good to offer the community and a lot of interesting things to say. Variations of a Life, Cartoon Lady. That one didn't quite hit with me though. I kind of disagree. The one thing about the pedo thing, the child endangerment aspect of it, is that I feel like we're touching the surface of an iceberg that's a seedy, horrible, bad iceberg. And many people agree that none of those things would be appropriate. Just having the thing on your Facebook advertising the services of boys and girls, or just looking for mother lick daughter off. Like if I was going to put my child in a childminders agency, and as I walked in I looked over the shoulder of Alan on reception and saw mother lick's cut off daughter's face, then we'd walk right out and we wouldn't be putting our child in that childminding agency for the day. Like we'd walk right out. There are little things that individually are problematic, and then to look away from it all and then say the smule and all of it just adds up to, well, I don't think he's a pedo, so we should stop talking about it. I think it is a bit, I'm surprised by the whole community on that front, because I think it's a bit naive and it lets him completely off the hook. And I think that's how people like Jimmy Savile, maybe because in America they didn't have that recent trauma of the Jimmy Savile affair, but I think that's how people like Jimmy Savile get away with it, by being a bumbling fool or a personality and covering it up with half-baked covers, and no one really wants to pull the plug and tell the story, and I don't know. So I'm not so happy with that aspect of it, but everyone's got their own choices, so each to their own. And of course I'm not going to become the Alan Pedo Predator research station on YouTube. I've put out there what I've seen, so yeah. I don't think Alan should feel secure now that he can go around diddling kids, because if anything else came out, if anything came to the fore, then we would report on it, wouldn't we? So, yeah, cut that then. I love Tosha and Val, and it's nice to hear a video from them.